Hey there, nice to have you with us, Mansfield, today on a Tuesday, and that means it's time for us to look at things legal with our resident advocate, Lance Brogden. Hello, Lance, nice to have you with us.
Hi, Jim. Good to be here, mate.
Sure, already counting down to Christmas at this stage, eh?
Indeed,
Jeepers.
indeed.
Yeah. Common law crimes in South Africa. Now, there's a way to enter the Christmas spirit.
Stretch a bit.
What? Okay, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good
Which
place
place
to
to
start.
start?
When you read, you begin with ABC. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. Oh,
That's a good piece before Christmas, though.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. What is... the silly season is upon us. There we go. Right. What does common law actually mean in South Africa?
Common law is the law, Jim, that has developed over time via precedent. In other words, we follow the decisions made by the previous courts, and unless we, who are arguing the matter, are able to prove that that decision that developed from the previous matter was faulty in some way or another, or the interpretation of the written law was incorrect, and then it gets turned around and that becomes a new precedent. I think a couple of months ago we mentioned where you have a bench, you can have a bench of 3 judges and up to appeal with 5, and often you have an alternative decision, so 3 vote A, 2 vote B. A is the precedent, but you also save the rationale, the obiter dicta, why the B was decided. Even though it wasn't the new precedent, and often somebody would refer to that and saying, actually, they were correct. So that's the one part of, that's our common law, but the base of it comes from the 17th and 18th centuries, Jim, where the Roman Dutch law was introduced here by obvious reasons. Actually, you know, from 1820, in the 19th century, we had the English came into South Africa, Southern Africa, and they brought with them more legal procedures than the law itself. So we follow a lot of procedures like we do in the UK. And but importantly, the actual base of the Roman Dutch law, the 17th and 18th centuries, were brought here with the teams of people that came into Southern Africa.
How do you differentiate between criminal law and civil law?
So yeah, it's important because there is a time confusion. Somebody would come to you and say, this happened to me. Well, a criminal matter is where the prosecuting authority or the state prosecutor takes on the matter against a person or a corporation or a group of people. And those are criminal cases where it's the state versus. So in other words, you go and you open a matter with the police, people investigate it, they follow up, they follow through, and then the state decides, yes, this matter has merit to follow through with it. We must carry on with it, or not, or it's called noli prosequi. We don't believe there's enough evidence here to follow through with it. Where a civil matter is a matter between individuals or between corporations or individuals and corporations. When we use the word corporation quite broadly, a much bigger setup. So the one is when the state prosecutes, the other is when the applicant in the matter is an individual or a business, but not the state.
Okay, this may be a difficult one to answer, but what are the most prevalent crimes in South Africa?
Right, okay, so there are many registered crimes per se, but the prevalent ones really are, and it sounds funny, contempt of court. In other words, contempt of court, if you think about it, you know, a judgment is made and you have to follow certain, and you don't do it. Or you are told to appear in court for a traffic offence, or for whatever reason, or there's a summons for you to appear as a witness. That is, to me, in my mind, that's the one that most people just take this, throw it in the bin. So that is a very prevalent one. But then the sad ones, rape, fraud, murder, robbery, all of those are ones that happen every day in a country that is very criminalized, and it's very painful. Just go back for a sec, Jim. You know, I was just thinking, so when you compare a civil matter with a criminal matter, why they're quite difficult is you have to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. Where in civil matters, often it rides on a balance of probabilities. So with the onus of proof, that's where that difference lies as well.
Okay.
But those are the primary ones, assault and so on. They're the ones happening. They are the more well-known.
Okay, I can understand. They are the more well-known ones, but there must be a whole load of crimes that aren't as visible in South Africa as well.
Yeah, but they are real. So here are a couple of them. Bigamy, being married, so you and I get married and then I go and marry Chucky at the same time. It's not that cool.
This is sounding messy.
But there are other high treason. We all know what treason is. It's a crime. You can't do something against the state and etc. Then there are other ones like exposing an infant. Well, wow, there's one you never really hear about. So we have a responsibility to infants and children to look after them. When you put them into a situation where their lives or their health is at risk, that's a crime, Bestiality, partaking in sexual activities with animals. So there are a lot of crimes that are captured, but are not as commonplace. Although I fear a lot of it happens, we just don't hear about it enough, Yeah. Another one, violating a corpse, which has many meanings. I don't want to get into detail, but those are crimes. They're not just things that are ugly and horrible.
Yeah. Is there any sort of firm list of common law crimes in South Africa?
Yeah. So if you went and look at the SAP, South African Police Services Register, I think they captured around 32 crimes there. But it does go further because it doesn't in that always mention attempted murder, attempted this. So, which are also crimes, but there are 32 core-based crimes, and you can go through them and you can find them. I think you can find them on the internet or go into the SAPS, and it's an interesting read. There are crimes we just think they are just bad things, but they're actually crimes, and they're captured as crimes in that environment. Yeah.
Why does some criminal matters we were sort of toing and froing on this topic? We're going forwards and backwards, but I want to go backwards now.
Yeah.
Where you were talking about criminal matters and being thrown out because you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Why do so many criminal matters get thrown out of court?
Well, firstly, some of them don't make it there. So one goes to the police station, opens a CAS, a case number, carries on, and gets to the prosecuting authority, and they say, we don't have enough evidence here. It's a bit hearsay. So the first thing is they actually don't even make it there because there are big piles, and we've had this chat there, there are big piles of, not big piles, they're big piles of matters. And we need a break this season.
Time out.
But so often the prosecuting authority will say, we don't have the bandwidth to look at this because there's not enough evidence here. There's no supporting documents. We discussed a week ago, quite interesting enough, is guys, get your stuff together when you do this. Have everything. Don't just say, I believe or I heard or I think. The other thing is the procedure. If the procedure isn't followed correctly. Now, that's one of the things when you're watching American and English TV shows, they say, I've just thrown out because the procedure wasn't followed. The person wasn't approached correctly by the policeman when he or she was arrested. That does happen as well. So it's very important that everybody in the system, in the protocols in the system, are taught how to do it correctly. Mm. And one thing is always the proof and the evidence. To prove something beyond reasonable doubt, you've got to have a pretty cast iron information and evidence in place. And witnesses have got to be reliable. You call in a witness and they don't pitch, or somebody gives them some snake venom when they're not there. It's a problem, even though you'd heard all this, and this is real stuff. So there are a lot of reasons why they don't make it, and it's a pity, but it's that thing of having proper justice done in the rule of law and the equal under the rule of law, and it is important. But that is what happens, Jim.
How do I, Jeremy, this entity sitting here?
Yes.
How do I? Not that I'm thinking of committing one. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But how do I get away with the crime?
Okay. Right. So, on the record, Jeremy, you just say you're with me. And I will say I was on the phone to Chucky. And he will say he was in the pub with Robbo. And Robbo was saying he was lunch with Snowy. Yeah. eventually,
it'll go around and around in circles.
and eventually they found none of us were anywhere, and
Exactly.
therefore we have no evidence. Now, guys, it's a fun question, but and I do appreciate it. But at the end of the day, is I'm sad a lot of people get away with crimes. We've had some interviews earlier on where guys say, yeah, we did this and this and this, and there's R1 billion missing. I turned state's witness, I exposed it all, and now we'll walk away. So there are ways people get away with crimes, and it's very, very painful, and they shouldn't. But in the final analysis, is guys, don't even start there, because 99% of you are not professional criminals, and there's no need to go down that route. But yeah, people get away with it, Jim. People get away with a lot of stuff. Very sad.
And not only just criminally,
Exactly.
in a lot of ways.
Funny you should say that.
Lance, nice to have you with us again.
Thanks. You're always good to be here, my friend.
Good, good.
Thank you
We'll
very
catch you next week. Again, on Mansfield Today, Advocate Lance Brogden taking a look at matters legal. Till tomorrow, when we talk medical matters with Dr. Vicky Skitter. Cheerio, bye.